Now that the coronavirus is in full swing and most businesses are closed, Proxy Score has decided to do a new marketing project. It's a little bit out of the box. It's a little bit different way of thinking of marketing, but we have decided to start a new project. So we ventured out on the road looking for this new project, and with a car hauler, you're probably wondering what it's all about. Well, we have decided to participate in a race called King of the Hammers in Johnson Valley, California. And here is our project. It's a Chevy S10 Blazer, 2-door, 4-wheel drive, V6, 4.3 liter, and what I find what's so special about this project, which most people would get away from, is it is a independent front suspension torsion bar setup. If you are familiar with cars, most people don't like it, especially off-roaders. They think the solid axle is the best, but using these off-road, I have found that they've done very well. I picked up for $300. I picked up that hood and fender, engine and transmission for $150. We're trying to make this as cheap as possible and possibly sell that transmission and make some money. So we'll see how it goes. So I picked up a new project, and I will attach some pictures of the stance and what I think it should look like in the end. But this is for a 4600 class King of the Hammers build. Ever since these Blazers have come out, I've had an eye towards them. So the biggest hate mail that I've ever heard from these is they have IFS and they're so horrible. But I've wheeled in them before, IFS, and I've also wheeled in a Jeep Unlimited JK, and many others, but those specifically, IFS handles amazing. So I believe that building it can handle the King of the Hammers. So that's my goal, and this is the donor part of the project. It is a IFS heavy duty 3/4 ton 2004 truck. Front clip, I guess you could call it. It has the Fab Tech suspension lift. I don't think I really need that, as in the added lift, but it has everything else I need. So I'm going to cut this down and put it under that is the ultimate end goal. And while shopping for this, also, I guess I should mention, I have to utilize the torsion bars on King of the Hammers. Oh, look, a white bunny. That's weird. The differential here can be used as in with lockers. It's an 8.5, I believe. Front IFS diff. So I'll have to cut that down about 7 inches. These are measurements that I've already done. But I need to utilize the torsion bars. And so I think I'll use, well, for now, when I tune it, I'll figure out if I'm going to use a 3/4 ton torsion bar or a 1/2 ton torsion bar. But the main thing is I want to keep the torsion bar up inside the frame, which is above this bar here. And having a torsion bar underneath the frame of King of the Hammers, I think, would be very bad. This is a project Jeep of my neighbor's. So I'm using it to store a front clip. In other words, the grill and hood. I picked up in Utah for $50, which is very nice. It also has a, here, let me pull this out, parts of the engine. So it was a front clip, engine that was head gasket blue, and a transmission and transfer case. So those are going to be extra parts for me, but finding out that the spider inside this spider, what do they call it, injector. It's this piece right here, and then it has the injectors go. And there you can see the injectors right there on the intakes. Is bad on the red one, so I need to put this inside there. So the whole goal is this Blazer project is going to be the cheapest I can do it. This front clip I picked up for $300. Tires were $100, but I'll use those for everything, so that was $400. The Blazer I picked up for $300, but it didn't run in the field. I was able to get it to run with a new battery cable. It has a fusible battery cable. There was just no power whatsoever, and I had to put a new battery cable in, and it basically started right up. For sitting 3 years in the field, has 202,000 miles on it. Let's see if I'll let you know how it starts and runs. I let the key turn on just a little bit because the fuel pump needs to build up pressure. And then it starts faster than normal. You can kind of hear it lopes a little bit, not because it's a cam, it's because it's missing on some cylinders. They do have a, I don't know what you call it, I would say a cherry bomb, but not necessarily a cherry bomb. Maybe it's a glass pack, I don't really know the muffler of it. See, it's silver, it's a small little muffler. I think I'll probably keep that in it. And here, let's open up the hood and so it's just a 4.3 liter. It runs real nice, except for the missing cylinders. I put in spark plugs yesterday and checked all the wires, and that's how I found out that it's not missing because of the wires, it's missing because of that fuel injector. So that's what I'll be doing today. I had a battery that was from an old car that I flipped, and so I put that in it, so that was cheap. So that's what I'm ultimately trying to do, is build this thing as cheap as I possibly can. And IFS is usually very expensive, but I already have a donor project, so I think the IFS is going to be not that expensive as it could be, in other words. Yesterday I cut out the wheel well here, and the inner lining has to be untouched, and so I cut the edge that sticks out, and here I can probably cut a little bit more because there's a little bit of an edge down, but I'll probably just leave it. And I put 35-inch tires next to here and jacked it up. You'll see in this picture right here. And that is basically about where the tires will sit and where the Blazer will sit. It'll probably be 2 inches higher though. Okay, and then when you look here on this picture, you'll see that the front tire, I can stretch my wheelbase by 3 inches. The front tire touching the back of the rear tire is basically 3 inches, and so I'm gonna have to cut here on this bumper. Actually, I'm removing the whole bumper, but there'll be enough room for everything, and it lengthens the wheelbase. The wheelbase is 100.5 inches stock, and it's gonna be 103 inches, 103.5 inches when I'm finished, which I believe 103 to 106, 109 wheelbase is absolutely perfect. And that's just my opinion. I know a lot of people have other ideas, but those are the wheelbases with my experiences that I absolutely love. Okay, so I'll be cutting out the wheel wells there, and here you can see, let me see if I can get a good look. You can see there's this lip right there. I don't know if you can see this lip. I can cut all of this, and as long as there's no wheel well, and that'll be that it's damaged, and then I'm sure I'll be able to get enough wheel travel. The rear bumper's going, that toe bumper's going, and I'll build wraparound armor from that. Has a little dent on the side, but I really don't care. That just means it's cheaper when I got it out of the field. You can kind of still see all the grass and everything in the wheel wells. But that is it. I actually think I got a really good deal. Here, let me go all the way around. It was owned by South Fork County in Utah. And then they sold it to a girl and like a high school kid, I believe, and she had it for a couple of years. And it's actually in really good interior shape. She loved her rock stars and her monsters. The most important thing that I like about this is shift right there. And I've noticed on these Blazers that in '97 they had the shift on the floor, and in wheeling that is very good. On the shift on the column is kind of hard. Most people, if they have shift on the column, they'll make shift on the floor when they do their transmission work. But I'm actually pretty excited about that. This little plastic piece broke off, but it's right here in the door handle. I can easily epoxy that in for looks, but there's a little bit of rattling, like the back plastic pieces on these Blazers when you go over big bumps and stuff. So all that plastic's going to come out. This rug's going to come out, and of course, you know, a roll cage. So this is the good walk around. Let's look inside. See, it actually looks in really good shape. There's the spare tire, and actually that's what I do for my second job, and that's helping pay for this, is I do frame, and then I also do Proxy Score, owner of Proxy Score, that is sponsoring some of this build and these videos. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the suspension. I'm going to touch everything, and then as I'm building, we'll share. Okay, so I'm going to do spring over with a 14-bolt shaved rear, and then the IFS front we know about. What I do like about the springs on these Blazers is there's a shackle right there. Do you see that? Or a holder, and it's on the side of the frame. I like that location, but the frame gets wider, and the shackle here is directly below the frame. So when I put on 53-inch or 63-inch springs, I'm sure the spring's going to go pretty much all the way back to the end of the bumper, this area here, and I'll have to do a shackle location there that's going to be a little different, but I believe that the 63 Chevs, which they write about, 63-inch Chev half-ton trucks, springs are some of the best candidates for longer travel in the rear. All right, so on the IFS of the 3/4 ton, from this point right here, so your ball joint, all the way to here is about 15.5 inches. And it's kind of the same. I think it's like an inch longer than the Blazer. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use this and then just extend it and put a uniball on the end. Same with the upper. I'll extend that, put a uniball on the end. And that is how I'm going to make it a long travel IFS. The FabTech knuckle there, it is very long, as you can tell. I may go to a stock knuckle to shorten that up, because from this bolt here to this bolt all the way up here for the upper A-arm, that's kind of a big distance, and depending where it lays out, I may have to go with a stock knuckle to shorten this distance on the Blazer because there may not be enough room under that wheel well to put all that. Okay, so this is the transmission, full 4L60 out of a 2001 Blazer. I picked up this transmission, transfer case, and 4.3 liter engine, and that front clip for $150. And I think I got a steal of a deal, so just to add to the inexpensiveness of this project. This is for spare, and I really didn't know how that Blazer's transmission was. I've been driving it around, and the transmission is great. So one good thing about these Blazers that no one know about, that I've found out, maybe some people, but okay. So this is a 233 transmission, or transfer case, sorry. And the Jeep, like that one I have on the side of the house, is a 231. And this is a slip yoke right here. And this is one reason why I got this cheap, is the guy, he didn't take these bolts off first and take the snap ring off. And he was trying to take this off and he broke it inside. But that doesn't matter because the slip yoke eliminator kit for the 231 also works on the 233, this one. And so that's what I'm going to do with this slip yoke. I'm going to take this off. I'm going to buy a slip yoke eliminator, and I'll put it in here. And that is what I'll use for my rear drive line. So this is basically the same idea. And then the front will have a slip yoke style, but the front output of the transfer case. But that doesn't matter because it's an IFS and everything's secure. I don't have to worry about that thing falling out when it's on full extension, stuff like that, full articulation. So that is going to be also part of the project, and then maybe I'll sell this transmission or just keep it when this other one goes. I don't know. All right, ready to pull the upper manifold off, and the key is to press down on the spider and lift at the same time. Okay, got it. All right, and there's the fuel injection of a 4.3 with its spider. This gasket right here is pretty important. I'll try to get it on the next one. Actually, I might have to go to the parts store and buy a new one because this one seems pretty baggy. Yeah, I'm gonna go to the parts store, see if they have one. Also, this is the other spider that I was looking into on that other intake. That gasket broke when I was pulling it off. Shh. These puppies are $300. And the local eye pole is $25. How bad this one looks, I don't know if I'm going to use it. Because these ports were wide open and there's just a lot of dirt and stuff that got inside. I think that one's pretty much junk. And I seriously don't want to spend $320 at the local parts store. But they do have them on the internet, some other parts stores for $170, so I'll probably have to do that route if the local pick and pull is bad. But that's where I'm at right now. The thermostat's right here. I might as well replace that. Only $12. You don't want a thermostat going out. And then yesterday I did do the cap and rotor. I replaced those. So after this injection, spider injection, I think this thing will run like a top. But that's where it is. I think it's it for today. The local eye pole's closed with this whole coronavirus thing. So I myself and my kids are going crazy sitting at home. So as you can tell. Oh, this is also another thing I was going to tell you about, and that's something I'll do today. So let me grab the throttle body. Okay, so here's the throttle body. This is a modification you can do on these 4.3s, which I will do now. See that little dampener right there? That you can grind off and provide more airflow through it. And I did that to my last Blazer, and when you first step on the gas, it was pretty zippy. So I'm going to do that to this one now as well. So that's it for today. Okay, I just got back from the auto parts store, and I decided to buy a local injector spider there. And as you can tell, this is the upgraded version. It has the wires, and it activates the injector right here, versus the injectors are inside here, and then it just flows down the tube. This is supposed to be more fuel economy, efficient, as well as more responsive, things of that nature. So I just decided just to go get this one. It's lifetime warranty, and if I ever have any issues, so let's get her put in. Oh, also one last thing I was going to say, it has the cylinders 1, 2, 3. Make sure you put the right injector in the right cylinder, or it's not gonna run correctly. The gaskets actually look really good, so I'm just reusing them. Okay, can you hear that? I fixed the spider injection. Running very smooth, no vibration, no misfires on the check engine soon light. Just the seat belt. All right. So lots happened since last time that I did the video, and I think after this video I'm going to post my progress. I mean, you just keep going and going and going. Okay, so I removed the bumpers all the way around, and according to 4600 rules, this point here has to exist, but if you have a bumper that slides, you can cut. It just has to have the furthest point. So I think I'm going to be doing that. The axle and the springs I'm going to be tearing out. Stock axle springs are 53 inches. I'm going to be doing a Chevy half-ton spring, probably 3 leafs, maybe 4, depending on if it's 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive. And it's going to stick out, so 5 inches about to here will the spring be. And then I'm going to do a shackle that's going to come up this way, so that when it articulates, I'll have more of a arc, more of articulation. As you can see here, this piece, when I put a 35-inch tire, it's going to rub there. This is, you can trim where tires rub, so I get to cut that off. And then you can see the edge here. I'm going to cut all that edge off all the way around, and which I've already done on this other side. Here, I'll kind of show you that. I did a little quick paint. It's just a temporary paint. Kind of gives you an idea of what it'll look like, and I'll fix that up. But I know they say don't put cars on wooden blocks, but I've seen houses where they move and stuff put on blocks, but I put some pretty big blocks. This is going to be a permanent spot for a while until I get the whole suspension rebuilt. And that's where I'm at right now. Next, I'll finish cutting out the wheel wells, tear out all the suspension, and then try to do make this other work. So one thing that I have found out, I'll show you some measurements. So the distance on the lower control arm from there to there, outside to outside, is 16 inches. And it's about 12 inches from the bolt there to the bottom bolt. And looking at, and then there's some space up here where I can put some stuff if I need to. When I go over here to my 3/4 ton, it is 21 inches from bottom to bottom here, and from this bolt right here to this top bolt there is basically 12 inches as well. So I'm probably going to be using the stock location. In my build, I'll probably cut this out and use this. And the way this sits, and I can move it forward, this will actually be sitting on the other side of this control mount, or this body brace right here. I think it's going to be sitting right here where the sway bar is located.